Hello YouTube, this is Morgan, Airspeed Prime here with my next Avatar video. It is time for the Legend of Korra Awards. We did the Avatar Awards at the start of the year back in January, and people seemed to really like it and the idea. And when they were done, people were immediately asking, when are you going to do Korra Awards? I'd already said that they would be a thing, but that I'd take a bit of a break between it. And yeah, I think it's about time. I think it's been a good bit of a break. You know, it's been more than kind of half a year since then. There's been enough of a distance that I think I'm not just doing it right after the other one. So let's get into it. It's going to work very, very similarly to the Avatar Awards. I've made some slight tweaks because of some stuff that I didn't feel quite worked as well. So some of the categories, as you see, are going to be a little bit different, a little bit changed. And then I do want to just kind of double down on some of the stuff that I had said in the Avatar video, but some people didn't quite listen to when they voted. And I'll say it right here. Anything that I say here that is maybe being like, you know, you're a bit overdoing this on like vote properly, but like, please, please, please vote in the way that I'm telling you to vote, because it is going to make it so much easier for you to vote, and it's going to make it so much easier for me to correct at the end, which ultimately is the main thing. Anything I can do to make that process at the end as small an amount of time as possible, because it's awkward to do something like this and to have like 50 votes come in and be like, okay, like there's like 30 categories and 50 votes, I have to count all of this up to get some answers out of this. It's so much easier when it has worked the way I kind of planned it from the start. So let's get straight into it. If you want to vote, this is how it works. So, there are two ways to vote. You can vote in the comment section here on YouTube on this video, or by sending me an email with your votes to avataronlinepodcast@gmail.com. How you vote is like this. Copy and paste the list of awards from the pinned comment on this video on YouTube from myself, Airspeed Prime, into your comment or email and fill in your votes afterwards. So in the pinned comment, literally all that will be there will be just the list of all 32 awards for the Korra Awards. Copy and paste that whole comment into your own comment on YouTube or your email that you're about to compose to me. Fill in avataronlinepodcast@gmail.com for the emails. Fill in your answers to each of those 32 awards, and then hit send comment, hit send email. That's how you do it. Again, I'm going to really emphasize, please copy and paste the list of awards. It is important, and it makes it so much easier for me to correct at the end if you include the awards, because it's so difficult to correct when people just put in their answers and it's just a list of 32 things that I then have to be like, when I come around to it, like, okay, best earthbending moment is the 28th entry on your list of things, whereas it's so much easier for me to just scroll down and be like, okay, best earthbending moment, that's right down the bottom, there it is, that's what they voted for, boom, next person. It's purely there to make it easier for me to correct. So voting is going to remain open for 2 months this time. It was only 1 month for the Avatar Awards, but I want to leave it open so people aren't rushing to get their votes in as soon as possible. There's time and more people can get involved in this. That means that they will be closing in early October, which is also when I will release the video with the results. And how that's going to work is, when the voting is over, I'm going to be counting the votes up. Then I'll release a video covering the winners of each award and a podcast which will feature the discussion as well as the full breakdown of votes, including second and third places for each award. Then, also, here's some advice based on the voting last time. Please vote in every category. So many people last time left blanks in multiple categories, to the point where 5 to 10 votes, I would say, could barely be classed as a full vote in the awards, and it was just it ground the correcting process to a halt to have to deal with, oh, here's someone who hasn't used the format that I dealt with and voted in like 5 categories but completely out of order. Here's the person who added in new awards that I didn't even specify in the list, but they still did that way. Again, please use the list of awards I've typed out in the pinned comment below. This is to make the votes easier to count for me at the end, and it also makes it easier for you to keep track of, like, here's the list, you have a copy and pasted, boom, 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 boom. Just fill in your answer at the end of each line. It makes it very easy. Also, take your time. Don't feel rushed to vote immediately. The more thought you put in, the better the votes and the better the end results are. Because at the end of the day, that's what we're looking for here in the end, is when it comes down to it, like, Best Book Award. We want to know, really, what does the fandom at large, or at least the fandom at large that sort of follows my channel a bit, what is their favorite book? And so if you just, put in the first one that you think of without really considering what your best book is, that might alter the votes. So, take the time to make sure everything that you vote for here is correct, and then we'll get some great information at the end about what does the fandom really feel overall about Korra through all of these awards. So, there are 32 awards this time. There are a few changes from the Avatar: The Last Airbender Awards categories, which there was 35 awards. So let's go through the changes and what each award is about. The removed awards are these 5. We're getting rid of Best Quote, Best Music, Worst Character, Best Comic, and Best Comic Moment. The 2 comic awards are going away purely because I don't feel that there are enough Korra comics just yet to justify keeping them in that basically it's like the Turf Wars award right now, because that's the only complete comic. Then there's like the Friends for Life Free Comic Book Day book, and we're only at the very start of Ruins of the Empire. So I think those 2 awards will kind of be like ones that maybe we can come back to that question when we have much more comics in a few years' time. Worst Character is going away because most people's reaction to the winner in the Avatar Awards when this happened, it was Jet. Jet was voted Worst Character. Most people were kind of like, what do we really mean by that? Like, is he just like a bad character in terms of how he's written and constructed? Is he worst as in the sense of like he is the most disliked character because of, if I met him in real life I'd hate him or something like that? Or did he just do bad actions in the show? It was hard to take a lot from it, because in general most of the characters in Avatar are well done, well constructed and stuff like that. So I don't really think we get that much out of this one, is the main reason that's going away. Best Quote and Best Music are more or less going away for the same reason. And it's just it's just basically they ended up being very complicated awards, both in terms of, I think, voting for them yourself, even myself trying to vote for these 2 categories. They were always the ones I sort of kept until the end, because like you have to almost do research to find out the names of specific tracks from the music, finding out which quote it is, and specifically the music one is more of just a kind of detail type thing, because inevitably I'd have people who like know the names of the tracks, but then there's people who are like, this scene, the music plays during this scene, this timestamp and stuff like that. It was just too awkward to like correct people to vote. The quote one is more of a case of, in practice, rarely a proper winner comes out of this one. This tends to be the one where, like, if you look at my notes as I'm correcting through this, I'll just have like 50 different categories, because more or less everyone voted for some different quote for some different reason, and the winner would only ever win because it has 3 votes while this other quote only has 2, and all the rest of them only have 1. Never kind of a clear-cut winner. It's just, I think, too broad. Even though I think it makes sense to use as a category, it just doesn't end up leading to a lot of great information coming out of it, so that's why it was taken out. But anyway, these are the Legend of Korra Awards, so make sure when you're voting in these categories to only vote using Legend of Korra scenes, characters, moments throughout these awards. Also, the focus is just on the show, so don't include content from the comics when coming up with these answers. That's just there because to make it super clear as possible, when we're doing the Legend of Korra Awards, it's not the Avatar and Korra Awards, it's just Legend of Korra. So that's what it's to make clear. So yeah, let's get into the ones that are actually, the awards that are actually part of this, the ones you'll actually be voting in. First up is Best Book. Very simple. You only have 4 things to vote on here. The 4 books, the 4 seasons of Korra. Which one is your favorite? Which one is the best? Then we cover these ones, which I've just grouped all together because this is the easiest way to show it. There it is, 8 separate awards, but obviously 2 for each book. Best and worst episodes from each book. So best and worst book 1, best and worst book 2, and so on. They should be, again, very quick, easy to go through, because Korra only has a couple of episodes per season, so they shouldn't be too difficult at all. Just get an episode list out, and I think most people can pick out their favorites and least favorites very easily. And also, as a final one, best overall episode of Korra and worst overall episode of Korra. Again, these should be very easy because your best overall episode should be one of your favorite episodes from one of the books. So the previous 4 bests includes your best overall episode, so it's going to be one of those ones. So again, it's just another easy one, but it's nice information to have as, okay, this is your best book 1, best 2, best 3, and best book 4 episode, but which one of those is your favorite episode? Now, quick note on all the categories that deal with episodes. Specify which part of a 2-parter you are choosing. Beginnings and Civil Wars both have a part 1 and a part 2. Specify which part. They are separate episodes. Beginnings part 1 is a different episode to Beginnings part 2. This is mainly, I'm saying this and clarifying this because this caused a lot of problem with how I was meant to correct the Avatar episode awards, because inevitably the Sozin's Comet episodes got tons of votes. Pretty much every single one of those 4 episodes got votes. But what was I meant to do with the categories, the votes, where people just voted for Sozin's Comet? They voted for 4 episodes as one, yet here's like a tie between 320 and 321. What do I do? So I'm making it very clear ahead of time. Specify which part you're talking about. Next up, favorite main character. Now, you may notice this is done a little bit differently than the Avatar Award. This is just to, I think, get better information out of this. Just to separate, like, okay, the main characters are, the favorite character in the entire show is obviously going to be one of the main characters, so let's just make it the best main character. So this is going to be between Korra, Mako, Bolin, Asami, Tenzin, Lin, Jinora, and Varrick. Now, some of those end characters there, Lin, Jinora, Varrick, I'm including here because in the grand scheme of things, I think they are much more of a main character than you would say even they're supporting or anything like that. They are, that important. And also, I think they're more suited to be in here because they would then be like the obvious runaway candidates for one of the upcoming categories. So your choices between those characters for best main character. Next up is best villain, which for Korra is very, very important. The villains are such a highlight, so best villain for Korra is going to be a very, very cool award. Only thing I'll specify here is if you're voting for like Red Lotus, please specify which member of the Red Lotus that you are talking about. Zahir, mention if you are voting for Zahir. If you're voting for Pli, Ghazan, Minghua, they are all characters. I don't want the winner of this to just be Red Lotus group and stuff like that, because technically Unalaq's also Red Lotus, so please specify character here. We want it to be best villain character, not villain group. Next is going to be best other character, and this is basically best any character who was not included as part of the main character or villain category. So best non-villain, non-main character here. This allows minor characters to come in, more the supporting cast to come in, and this should be an interesting one to see who wins out in this one. Next up, best character development. And so specifically what I'm looking for here is the name of your character who, in your mind, developed the most over the course of the series. So your answer here is the name of a character, not I like this character because of this moment when they developed into this. It's just the character you feel developed the most. Next up is a group of 3 awards here. Best animal, very, very simple here. Just what species of animal that we saw in Legend of Korra do you feel was the best, coolest looking? It doesn't have to specifically be an animal with a name. It can just be a species or something like that, but it's up to you. Next up, Best Spirit. There's so many spirits in Korra, so I think this should be a very interesting category here. Please note with the Best Spirit category, please don't vote for a past avatar. For the sake of this this one, we're not including past avatars appearing as being spirits. We're talking about the actual like separate like species to humans that are spirits. So that's what we're talking about there. And then best location. What is your favorite place that we saw over the course of Korra? We obviously went back to some known locations, but we've got to see some new places as well. What was your favorite location? Next is a very interesting group of two characters that are almost the two kind of quintessential ones anytime we get a Airspeed Prime or Avatar The Last Airbender online voting type thing. Most attractive male character and most attractive female character. Very simple two categories, but very fun as well. Next two, similarly fun. Best ship / couple, and also best romantic moment. So when it comes to these ones that are about like best moment, all I want you to do with those ones is to just, as best as possible in your answer to those ones, get across to me what moment you're talking about. Like this character and this character in this episode, this moment. You don't have to be super descriptive, but just as clear as you can, get across to me the moment that you're talking about here. So, next up is another group of 4 ones that I grouped together because they're all moments. Funniest moment, most epic moment, most emotional moment, and most shocking moment. Funniest moment, very self-explanatory there. You can choose to go for like funny as in random, funny as in clever. It's completely up to you about your interpretation of, funny. Most epic moment is basically just the that was awesome moment is kind of the other way of saying it. It's just like, powerful as in that was one of the coolest things I've ever seen. That's what this one's about. Most emotional moment, I suppose, is kind of similar to the one above it, but more of like, I suppose ultimately you lean more towards sad, but it can also be sort of a moment of like anger and stuff like that. So it's just up to your interpretation of like what emotion are you going for, but what was the moment in Korra that just really got to you because of how emotional it was? Not the this is awesome moment, that's a separate award. And then for the last one here, most shocking moment is basically just the most surprising moment that happened in the show, the most unexpected moment that happened. It's basically the twist that you like the most type moment. Just something that you're just watching the show, then this thing happens and it just floors you with how unexpected it is. That's what I'm talking about with this one. Next up, big one here, best fight. A lot of people really like Avatar and Korra because of the fight choreography. So in Korra, what was the best fight? Again, just make it as clear as possible to me. This character versus this character, or if there's multiple characters involved, in what episode, as clear as possible. Now, last 5 awards are going to be these ones. Best waterbending moment, best earthbending moment, best firebending moment, best airbending moment, and also, including the non-benders, best non-bender fighting moment. This is basically just what was the moment where a character used waterbending in The Legend of Korra that was the coolest use of waterbending, the most powerful. It's up to you with your interpretation. What was just the moment that made you go, that is some awesome waterbending right there in that fight or whatever. Again, that can include special abilities of waterbending and stuff like that. If you want to go for like healing, spirit bending, blood bending, it's entirely up to you. It doesn't just have to be standard waterbending. Same goes for earth, where like you can go lava bending if you want, metal bending if you want, but just what was the best earth bending moment. Again, with these ones, just make it clear what character it was, roughly what episode and what they did, without going massively in depth. Best firebending moment, it can be lightning if you want. It can be combustion bending. Then we get best airbending moment. Again, it can be Zahir's flight if you wish, but, you can choose just a very cool application of standard airbending if you want in the middle of a fight that maybe Tenzin used, that Zahir used, whatever you want. It's entirely up to you. And then, yes, we include an award for the non-benders who get involved in the action. What was the coolest fighting moment for a non-bender? I have a feeling it's probably going to be Asami doing something or other, but which is going to win the non-bender fighting moment award. And yeah, they're all of our categories. Again, they're going to be listed in the pinned comment below, ready for you to vote in. And again, this is how you vote. You can vote on YouTube in the comment section right here on this video, or by emailing your votes to avataronlinepodcast@gmail.com. And how you do it is that you copy and paste. You have to copy and paste the full list of 32 awards that I have in the pinned comment on this video, and then paste that into your YouTube comment or your email. Fill in what your answers are to each of the awards, your votes, and send it to me, whether that be on YouTube or by email. That is how you vote. You have 2 months from the day this video is posted to get your votes in, and then we'll be back after that amount of time has passed with the results, podcast discussion, and everything. So get voting in the Korra Awards. That's been the video. Thanks for watching, and bye.